Morning. Welcome to Wasabi's live stream from historic Fenway Park for our 14th annual Run to Home Base. I am Brooke Wasney, the Senior Manager of Growth Marketing at Wasabi Technologies, and I will be with you for about the next hour or so with some special guests who've played a big part in making today happen. To my right here is the VP of Global Brand and Communications from Wasabi, and I swear she did not force me to say this, but the world's best boss. This is Julie Berry.
Hi, Brooke.
Julie, thank you so much for joining me and kicking off our live stream.
My pleasure.
So for those who are watching us right now and who are not so familiar with Run to Home Base, Run to Home Base is a unique fundraising 9K run, 5K run walk through Boston, where people who are participating have the unforgettable experience of crossing home base at Fenway Park. And actually behind Julie and me right now, there's a long line of people who are doing just that. The event raises money to provide vital funds for the clinical care and support for veterans and their families. And thanks to some very generous sponsors, actually 100% of the proceeds from the 2023 Run to Home Base is going to go directly toward treating brave warriors and offering support to their families. We will have a link to donate to the Run to Home Base in the comments. So if you're able, please go there, click, and help out. So Julie,
yes.
Did you run in this morning's race?
Unfortunately, no. I'm sporting a bad hip. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, so you'll be joining the Wasabi Warriors in 2024?
Oh, yes.
Okay, we will be counting on you on that. Can you tell me a little bit more about how Wasabi got involved with Run Home Base?
Yes, absolutely. So we are a proud partner of the Boston Red Sox, and they've introduced us to the Red Sox Foundation. And Wasabi's founded in Boston. And as Bostonians, we have a strong sense of patriotism. And for us, it's super important that we recognize those that have sacrificed everything along with their families to make sure that we are safe. We also have a number of Wasabians who are veterans, and we're very proud of them, and we're happy to honor them today with this event.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I think we had about 10 people running today with Wasabi. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There are veterans involved, and we're very excited to be able to support them. Can you tell us a little bit more about Wasabi's commitment to corporate social responsibility?
Yes, absolutely. Wasabi is based in Boston, and it's important for us to be great corporate citizens and aligned with partners and organizations that are closely aligned with our values and giving back to the community and making sure that others have opportunities to do things that they otherwise might not.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for helping me and joining me and kicking off our live stream.
Absolutely.
We'll be having a couple other guests join me. We've got them in the room right now. So let's get this started.
Yes. Who's up next, Brooke?
Up next, I'm very incredibly honored to be able to introduce our next guest. Jack Hammond is a retired U.S. Army Brigadier General with multiple combat commands, and he currently serves as the Chief Executive for the Home Base National Center of Excellence for Mental Health and Brain Injuries. Jack, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
He is a decorated combat leader and private sector innovator who has served on advisory groups for presidents, governors, and businesses. General Hammond has also presented on his innovative programs and leadership at the White House, the United Kingdom's Parliament, presidential libraries, and with national companies working in defense, construction, biotechnology, marketing, and more. Thank you so much for being here. How was your run this morning?
It was good. I was a little creaky starting out, as Tom said. When you start sitting in the chair for a little while, you start feeling a little bit. And it's great he does that 7th inning stretch to get you going. But I ran with my grandson today, and it's part of that thing. You've got to talk with young people and get them involved with patriotism. And this is a very patriotic part of the country, but it takes us to start bringing that in with that next generation and make that a value that they hold dear. And it's nice to talk about things, but when you see what you see here, it just starts to make sense.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to expose him to that and obviously get him on a good run too.
Yeah. How'd you guys come in? What was your time?
We did pretty well. I think we're not the sub 5. We had somebody run the 9K in sub 5 minute miles. We were more like the 11-minute miles.
Unbelievable. Faster than me, I can assure you. Can you give us a brief history on the Run to Home Base?
On the run itself?
Yes.
Sure. It started 14 years ago, and it was like, they have the Good Idea Club. Somebody sat together and they talked with Tom Warner, who is the visionary leader who actually it was his idea. Even though we're deeply embedded in a hospital, everyone thinks it was, began with Mass General. I actually began with the Red Sox on a very historic visit that first began in 2004 after their World Series win. We broke the curse. They went to Walter Reed, and then they brought the veterans up to Boston for the ring ceremony on opening day that year. Flash forward 2007, they went back down to Walter Reed after visiting the White House after the championship, and their 1 hour visit lasted 5 hours. They couldn't leave, and they were moved to action. Tom's dad had actually served in the Battle of Normandy as an OSS guy. He was an Air Force intelligence, and he was actually moved to action. When he got back from that, he spoke with the leadership of Mass General and asked them to build this incredible partnership so that we could leverage the deep clinical resources of Harvard Medical School, Massachusetts General Hospital, the Mass General Brigham System, Spalding, Mass Eye and Ear, and reimagine what's possible. And that's frankly what we've done. The Run is our number one vehicle, and for 14 years, we've been able to draw upon the grateful nation of supporters here in New England, and now it's across 42 states. People come from 42 states for the
Wow.
Run today,
Yeah.
which is pretty remarkable. And more than 2,500 runners. They all pledge, a significant amount of money to be a part of this. And so we're able to raise an amazing amount of awareness, like now streaming live, sharing the story.
Right.
And then we also raise a great deal of much needed money and funds to support it. For the past 14 years, we've cared for more than 30,000 veterans, all at no cost. We cover their airfare, their lodging, their meals, and they're able to get transformational care at no cost because we believe they already paid for it with their service.
Absolutely. That's really incredible. We've had some team members who were with us last year here, and everyone is saying that the event seems much bigger this year. So
It feels bigger.
it's pretty incredible to see it grow. What are some of the services that Home Base provides?
I think we started out, as a regional outpatient clinic, and it was traditional outpatient care for Red Sox Nation, Eastern Massachusetts, New England. But we had a game-changing thing working with our team at Mass General and Harvard to develop a 14-day intensive clinical program for PTSD that compresses 2 years of therapy into 14 days.
Oh my goodness.
It's a game changer. It's now been written up and peer-reviewed as a suicide prevention program. We take every 2 weeks, we fly 24 of the most injured veterans in the country here to Boston for treatment. And they have a 60% reduction in symptoms, which essentially takes them from being non-functioning in a lot of aspects of their lives to functioning. From there, we work with them for aftercare to keep moving forward, but to take somebody from that really dire situation that contributes to the 25 suicides a day.
Right.
When you offer that glimmer of hope and you have that bright shining moment, it gives people the strength to continue. And so that's really one of our big game-changing programs. And then this weekend, we're celebrating our partnership with the special operations community, as we talked about. And tonight, the Red Sox have been so gracious to allow us to have a pregame on-field ceremony honoring our special forces. And that's Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Delta Force members, Army Rangers, et cetera. In 2020, at the request of SEAL Team 6, we built a traumatic brain injury polytrauma program specifically for this group. And it's because of their high performance training, which causes many injuries. You see these incredible things in the movies where, SEAL Team 6, parachutes in from 5,000 feet, except for today. And then they land on the X and they go over and they slap some explosive on a wall, just the right amount. They blow the wall, they go in and they clear, and then they rescue the hostages. To actually do something like that, which is what they do in some cases, they have to practice that hundreds and hundreds of times to get those split seconds right. Mm-hmm. But every time they blow something up, there's a concussive injury. You do 5,000 parachute jumps, you don't land on your feet all the time because crosswinds hit you and you hit your head. And so they end up with an indiscernible number of concussive injuries. And then they have the trauma of war that they're dealing with. And so we created a very specialized program for them in 2020. We started with 15, and now more than 800 of them have signed. And we went from getting 5 calls a year from the Special Forces community to 5 calls a day.
Wow.
They are the most overused force in the military right now. Because our conventional forces aren't really as engaged as they were prior. And so their injuries are much higher. And so they've kind of garnered this specialized program where they come to Boston and they get about a 5-day program that examines every aspect of their injury, from musculoskeletal, hearing and vision, sleep, and of course their traumatic brain injury, cognitive function, and mental health treatment. It's something that can be done in other places, very few, but no one else is doing it.
Right.
So we're the only place in the country that does it. And then finally, the last thing I'll share is we're the only program in the nation that treats the families of our fallen with a direct clinical program. We mentioned that 150,000 veterans have died by suicide in the last 20 years, which is an obscene number when you think about it. For every one of those warriors that's died, there's a family of 5 or 6 or 8 that leaves a wake of destruction in that family, just completely turned upside down. We have a specialized program for the surviving family members, and it began with the spouses who all too often were sitting at the kitchen table when it happened with them, or walked into the home and found the remains. Some of the most horrific stuff you could imagine. They are by far some of the most injured people we care for. They had nowhere else to go because they're not part of DOD, so they're not in the military. And since they weren't the veteran, they're not part of the VA. And so they have no access to any type of specialized care, even though they've probably got the most complex injury you could receive.
Okay. That's really incredible that you guys offer all of these services. Do you have a favorite run to home base story that you would like to share with us?
My first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Afghanistan. In 2011, much before I didn't retire from the Army until 12, and that's when I joined the home base team. Somebody came up to me. I was the commanding general for Kabul province, and they said, "Hey, we want to do this road race." I said, "Great, what's it for?" And they said, "An organization called Home Base. It's with the Red Sox." And I said, "Well, it's got to be good. Of course we'll do it." And the Red Sox were kind enough to send a home plate and a bunch of shirts, and we did one of these shadow runs. The problem is Kabul is a mile high.
Yeah.
And you run on crushed stone. And I can tell you, the base isn't that big, and I don't know how many laps it was, but it seemed like a gazillion. And when I thought I was close to the finish line, they said, "Halfway done."
Oh, man.
And so I remember it because it was the hardest 5K or 9K run I've ever done in my life. And,
Yeah.
But we knew what it was for. And then when we got home, I learned more about this program, and then eventually came aboard as the executive director.
That is a great first memory. What is the best way for people to get involved with the cause? How can they best support?
I think the best thing, number one, is to go to homebase.org and just look at what we do. If you know a veteran that's in need, please, by all means, just that's all they have to do is there's a button that says Connect to Care. Just too many people have spent decades, locked down in this crippling pain when there's a way out, and they don't think there's a way out, and that's the problem.
Right.
We can deliver the care, and then they say, "Well, it's not near me." Well, that's okay. We'll fly you in. Well, it costs a lot of money. We've covered the costs, and because of our generous foundation friends at the Red Sox, Becca, Sal Wasser, and the team, they host this amazing event so that we're able to broadcast on this and broadcast with you all on this, and just cast a wide net so that folks can hear what we do. So that's the hope is, go to homebase.org, learn what we do. But if you know a veteran, get them connected to us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning, General. We really appreciate everything that you've done for this organization, your service to the country, and everything you do to support the veteran community.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Now you get a real treat.
Yes, I am very excited. Joining me next is Becca Salwasser of the Red Sox Foundation.
Oh, great. All good.
Thanks. Becca joined the Boston Red Sox in January of 2018 as the executive director of the Red Sox Foundation. In addition to managing the board of directors and key community partnerships, she also oversees the foundation's giving strategy, programming, fundraising, evaluation, and sponsorships. In the beginning of 2021, she was also appointed as the executive vice president of social impact for the Boston Red Sox, a role that encompasses chairing the organization's Social Justice, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, and helping realize the organization's vision around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Becca, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Can you speak to how Home Base was created?
Yeah. So as Jack said, the team won a couple championships in our past. When you do that, you get to go to the White House, and Walter Reed is very close to DC. And so the team took it upon themselves to go visit Walter Reed. I think distinctly between the two visits or championships in 04 and 07 when they visited, it really struck home for many of our players, many of our leadership, that our nation's heroes, our veterans, need so much more. There's a lot more that can be done in the way of service and support. And so coming back to Boston and knowing that Boston is ripe with academia, healthcare, some of the best brains in the world are located here. I think leadership recognize that there's a real strong opportunity to make a difference. And so forming a partnership formally with Mass General Hospital, who has the amazing clinical care, one of the greatest research institutions in the world, and taking advantage of those assets and coupling it with the brand capital of the Red Sox, is just a recipe for success. And so, I think from 2009 to today, we've been overwhelmed with the impact that we've been able to make. Like I said, coupling with MGH's human capital with their clinical care and our brand capital, it's just been amazing to really leverage all that we have in support of veterans and their families.
Yeah, it's almost like the perfect storm here in Boston
Yeah.
to be supporting this cause. Beyond home base, do you want to tell me a little bit more about the Red Sox Foundation and its other focus areas?
Yeah, sure. So the Red Sox Foundation actually started in 2002 before Home Base began. It began as a public charity nonprofit organization. And I say that because a lot of people have the misconception of thinking that the Red Sox Foundation is funded by the team or by ticket sales. It's not. So my job as executive director is to fundraise. So I spend the majority of my time raising the money that's necessary to sustain my people, all of our staff. We have about 16 full-time staff at the Red Sox Foundation that work year-round, sustaining our programs. And we have in-house programs, outcomes-based programs that are focused on education and recreation. And then the third thing we prioritize funding for is our partners. And Home Base is one of those key partners. We have 3 core partners at the Red Sox Foundation: the Home Base program, the Jimmy Fund over at Dana-Farber, and then the Dimmick Center, which is a health and human services center in Roxbury. And again, so my job is to really raise capital to support my people, my programs, and my partners. Whatever is left after that is what we're able to give away. And being one of the largest sports charities in the country, which is a huge privilege, is something that we're really, really excited about, because it affords us the opportunity to make triple impact through our giving, through our partners, and through our programs. So again, just in summary, nonprofit public organization focused on health, education, recreation, managing 3 core partners, one of whom is the Home Base program, running our own programs, and then we have a giving arm as well. So lots that we do here in the footprint of New England, and so much more ahead.
When do you find time to sleep?
I don't. I have 3 kids too on top of that. So,
why is Run to Home Base such a special event at Fenway Park?
I can, personally for me, I come from a family of veterans. My dad served in the Vietnam War. Both my uncles are veterans. My grandfather's a veteran. My uncle's actually an Army Ranger, so special ops. And so for me, this has been a real just soul-filling opportunity, I think, since I started here, to be part of something that's so special and personally meaningful for me, because I've seen the impact of trauma, of the invisible wounds of war, personally in my own family. So, for me personally, it's an honor to work with the Home Base program and to execute the Run to Home Base every single year. But I think organizationally, it really sits at the forefront of what we do. I think if you polled any Red Sox employee, especially any leader at the organization, they would speak to the Home Base program, and our support of veterans is something that is key, a key driver in the work that we do at the Red Sox Foundation. So it really resonates deeply with so many of our staff and leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier this morning, before the run began, there was a number of people congregated to listen to some people speak, and it's really hard to not be moved by what they're saying.
Totally. Yeah.
How can Red Sox Nation support the Red Sox Foundation and the Home Base program?
Yeah, so as Jack said, you can go to homebase.org. You can go to runtohomebase.org as well. Lots of URLs. You can also go to redsox.com/50/50. 50/50, for those that don't know, we run 50/50 raffles every single home game at the Boston Red Sox to generate revenue for the Red Sox Foundation. Today, specifically, though, we are splitting the proceeds with the Home Base program. So anybody that buys a ticket today will know that their dollars dollars are going to go to support the amazing work at the home base program. So you can buy a ticket in park if you're here, or you can go to redsox.com/5050 if you're in Massachusetts and if you're over 18. The other way to support us is to get your own cool merchandise. So the shirt that I'm wearing, if you can see it, is actually for sale. The proceeds do go to support the home base program. If you can't see from afar, it's a camel heart inside of the Red Sox Foundation logo here. So we have this made specifically for our partnership with the home base program. You can go to 47brand.com, scroll down to the bottom of that URL, that website, and you'll be able to purchase your own beautiful t-shirt just like mine.
Perfect. I will actually be at tonight's Now 7:10 game.
Yes.
I used to volunteer for the 50/50
No
raffle.
way!
I did.
Well, thank you.
So I do always make a point to purchase a ticket because
Cool.
I know what it's
Thanks.
like to bother
And now you can
people.
win.
But now,
Couldn't win
now
before.
I will certainly make a point to
Thank
stop with my friends and get a ticket tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning,
Yeah, of
Becca.
course.
It's been a great pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
All right. And our final guest for this morning's live stream is Steve Ernst. Steve Ernst is a principal software engineer at Wasabi, and he's been with us since 2021. He served in the United States Air Force from 1989 to 1991, having trained as an F-111F weapons systems officer, and was stationed at Lakenheath AB in the United Kingdom during the First Gulf War. Today, Steve served as our team captain for the Wasabi Warriors in the run to home base. It's good to see you, Steve. Thanks
Good
so
to
much
see
for
you as
being
well.
with me.
Thank you.
How'd your run go?
It was a run. It was a tough run. In college, I sprinted. A long distance was 440 yards. So this was a challenge, but I got through it. I don't know if it's harder doing that than following those wonderful speakers before me, but we'll see.
You're gonna do great. Was it every bit worth it to run across home?
Very
base this
much
morning?
worth it to walk across the plate. That was fantastic.
I'm sure that's an incredible experience. This is your first time participating with us. Why is participating with the Run to Home Base 5K? Why is this such a special event for you?
So I've never done a fundraiser run before, so it was my first one. So that it's a key support system for veterans. I've seen a lot of veterans have those invisible injuries and whatnot, and I find that from my point of view, veterans are very closed normally, so you have to have others see what's wrong with you and help you get through and tell you that you need some help.
Yeah.
So this program seems to do that, and they have some great successes, which are amazing.
Yeah, everything General Hammond said this morning makes it clear that every bit of support that could be needed is there through the Run to Home Base program. Can you tell me a little bit more about your time in the military?
So I served back in the early 90s. I went to Norwich University in Vermont, and then went to California to learn how to fly airplanes, jets. Got trained in the F-111F. Flew as a weapons systems officer. My eyesight wasn't quite good enough for a pilot, but I was in the process of trying to convert to pilot. Once you're in and they know you, you can have bad eyes when you're a pilot. So.
I'm told that there's a particular incident that happened in Spain while you were deployed. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. August 1st, 1991. That's a date I'll never forget. And I have a bad memory anyway. But we were deployed to Zaragoza, Spain, to practice dropping munitions in a different place rather than the place we drop all the time. We were flying about 1,500 feet in a left-hand 2G turn, going about 600 miles an hour, and a 16-pound Griffin Vulture decided to get in our path, and it came through the cockpit and hit me in the head.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Was everyone okay?
So I was the one hit. So in a 111, it's a side-by-side seating situation. I was in the right seat, so the bird hit me and deflected off the left side. I could go on for hours on stories related to that, but suffice it to say, our emergency procedure practice worked, and we took care of the problem, and we brought the aircraft back in one piece. And I thank the pilot for helping me out with that. And it was an interesting event.
Yeah, that is truly incredible. I mean, that's exactly what General Hammond was speaking about earlier, that you had practice.
And actually, I'll add on top of that since we have the time.
Yeah, please.
That was August 1st, 1991. I was scheduled to be married August 17th, 1991 in Ayer, Massachusetts. So I had the best colonel I ever had, my squadron commander, got the emergency flight in Europe was counterclockwise or clockwise. He reversed the direction. to get me to Germany so that I can then go back to Bethesda to be closer. And I got married on time in Ayer, Massachusetts, thanks to him.
Wow. Steve's wife was with us this morning, manning the Wasabi booth. I'm sure she's very happy about that outcome.
That, and she's very supportive. So I've been very fortunate. I did get a severe accident and a head injury and whatnot, but I had support all around me, and I worked it out. So it worked out well.
I'm glad
I
to
was
hear
very
that.
fortunate, yes.
I'm going to pivot a little bit here. What's it like working at Wasabi?
So Wasabi's great. It's a small company that's growing big. It's been very successful. Everybody there I've met has been extremely helpful, nice, cooperative, and if you need anything, just ask, and 5 people will answer for you. So as far as that goes, and they support things like this, like the Run to Home Base. So inside and outside, it's a fantastic company and they have a great product that's being used and growing rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a theme in our marketing department where we like to ask our employees, why Wasabi? What is your why?
So that's a great question. I actually interviewed at Wasabi 2.5 times just to find the right
2.5?
Yeah. Now, one was my manager said, come on in. So I did. But, looking at the company and how it operated and the technology they're using, the success of the founders and previous stuff, it looked like a place that I would really enjoy and be able to challenge myself and get to do technology things. Fortunately, before my accident, I was trained in software engineering, so I was able to go back to that. That was another plus for people going in the military. If they can get trained in something well first, then if something like that happens, you have a way out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Steve, and thank you to all of our guests who joined us on this live stream. We want to thank all of the participants who ran and everyone who's donated to this incredible cause. Don't forget that we do have a link in the comments below this live stream where you can donate yourselves. Big thank you to the Red Sox Foundation, Run to Home Base, Steve Ernst, Julie Berry, General Jack Hammond, and Becca Salwasser, along with our Nesson crew who's allowed us to live stream directly here from the Wasabi Nesson studios at Fenway Park. They help us put together all of our live streams. They're a great crew. And thank you at home for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.